Guys, welcome to the Lego 6 video. What we're going to be doing is talking about how to change the barrel and hop rubbers on the Toyko Marui Sopmod with its slightly different hop unit design. We've had a few people ask us for a guide on how to do this because they've had a little trouble doing theirs. It's very simple, exactly the same as any other hop unit, it just looks slightly different, and it's slightly different in its takedown. So I'll show you how to do that. Start off by just popping out this front receiver pin here. Just a bit of flat pressure on there, push the pin out. Grab hold of this charging handle on the back here, just edge it out slightly, and then just with a bit of pressure here, slide the top receiver off. Don't worry if the barrel gets stuck on the long air nozzle there in the gearbox, sometimes it does that. Then just put this section away. This top part here, the charging handle clips onto the top there, so that'll actually stay as one whole piece there. Just put that aside. So then we slide the hop unit out of the upper receiver. Put this bit aside as well. Then we have the barrel, as you see in a standard gun. So you've got the hop unit here. See how it's slightly different to the normal M4. What you've got is the shorter feed tube here. It allows you the magazine follower to push up all the way inside the hop unit. So as the magazine is empty, the follower actually feeds every single last BB. But that doesn't stop you if you remove the mag while it's yet to finish feeding. That'll still obviously drop some BBs out. So some people have emailed me about that. But that's completely normal. There's nothing wrong with the gun or anything. So what we'll do, basically it's standard takedown like any other hop unit, so we're just going to pop this out here. Yeah, people have talked about obviously the different features and stuff. Here how the hop unit clicks. Obviously that makes for very permanent adjusts. So once you adjust that, and that moves now the arm up, it's permanent, so it's so it never moves. Also, if we pop this C-clip out here, so just getting your nails just evenly underneath it. Pop that out. See how on the top of it, it's now got a locating lug in the middle of the section that stops any barrel twist left and right. So obviously also how tight the hop unit is as well also stops any movement. So we'll just put that aside. Why? If you were just changing the barrel now without touching the nub, you could simply wind it onto 0, so make it so that the hop unit's now off, and then that takes any pressure off the pushing on the actual barrel, so then you can just slide this out. But we're just going to go for good measure because we're going to change both parts. We're going to show you the complete disassembly of it. So there's a little pin here in the top. Just push that to one side and poke through with something, and that'll just slide this pin out. So, or you can use a set of pliers. So we just pull that out. That's the only thing that actually holds this in. There's no springs like the normal M4 one. So so now what we can do is just tap him out like that, upside down, and the nub comes out. The nub along with the arm. Okay, so no springs to lose on this one, so don't worry if you don't find any. So obviously people talk about why the hop unit is going to be loads better. For starters, the actual nub that comes as standard is slightly larger than the normal ones you get. So so when changing for a different one, you know, it would be better, to be honest, to keep the TM nub than it would to change, say for instance, to a Garda Clear, which is going to be slightly smaller. So keep the TM nub there, or go for the Firefly one. So otherwise you won't see any real benefits changing that. But the hop rubber you can change. Okay, so another benefit also, if you look here, is the width. Okay, so see how it's exactly the width that it needs to be, so there's no potential for any sort of movement left or right. It's just, you know, exactly the right distance that it needs to be, and that's it really. It just pivots up and down. It's this fixed fixed thing now that's not on a spring, which isn't on any sort of crazy washer which might potentially move over time. It's just this clip, locked it in, and that's it. It's, you know, the BB hits it and there's no potential for movement over time or you know, bounce or anything like that. So it's fixed, which gives you consistency, which is what you want, predictability. So now that's out of the way, you can just see the hot rubber through there. We're just going to grab hold of here. This is the bit people have a lot of problems with. They think that, oh no, it's stark core, that they need to take apart this section here. They don't. So it literally, this is, from what I know, as far as I know, has never been taken apart before. So just grab hold of the barrel, grab hold of the hop unit here, and just pull. It will be stiff. I'm putting a lot of pressure on that. The reason it's stiff is so people complain about that they have to put PTFE or they have to put grease on the inside of the hot rubber to provide a better air seal. You don't need to on the Sopmod one because it's so tight, okay? Which is a good design about the hop unit, but obviously it makes for, you know, a little bit of problematic when it comes to taking this out. See how it's starting to slightly move, and I'm having to put a lot of pressure on that to get that to slide out. See how there it's now edging out slightly, edging out more, edging out more. You know, I'm pulling this. Just keep going. Just don't be afraid, just keep pulling it. Doesn't matter if you leave the hop rubber in there. Remember, we're changing the hop rubber. So it doesn't matter if, say for instance, you pulled it too hard and it caught or ripped or anything like that. I've never had it happen, but just in case it did, don't worry about it because you're replacing it. Just keep going. It's not catching on anything inside. Once you know about it, it's basically there's nothing in there, it's just the tube and the rubber. So just keep pulling it. See how the rubber's starting to come through now? Whoa. Alright. Don't know my own strength, eh? There we go. Right, so the barrel there, you see how tight that was on there? Literally, the moment that come loose, so that's how hard you have to pull that. So it's left the rubber in there, so we're just going to use some pliers and pull that out. I like to just pull it through there. Out it comes. So that's the hot rubber. Yeah. They might put something on it. There's like a residue left on there. So that's the TM1 out, and we've got the nub, which we'll put aside as well because we don't need that. Alright. It's slightly shorter in length than other ones, so when you're replacing it, I like to just shorten that, but I'll show you in a second. So we're going to replace it with a buffer nub, Firefly one. And a rubber as well. We'll go over them. I think we'll do barrel prep next. We're putting in this one TK twist barrel. With any barrel that you buy or order through us, whether for anyone, always clean the inside of the barrel because it will be dirty. Inside your Sopmod box you should get a cleaning tube rod, cleaning the barrels. The tighter your bore on the barrel, the more you have to clean it. So take the tube, take a piece of toilet roll, cut into strips, not very wide. No need to be too anal about it, a couple of times should be enough. Yeah, the trick is to do it often, little enough. And always, if you're going to do it, always take the hot rubber off. You know, it's just incredibly easy to do. If you leave the hot rubber on and you're jamming the tube in and out and dirt's getting caught up on the hot rubber, or it could distort the hot rubber, you know, it's you're always going to be checking for hop rubber alignment, you know, so that when you're on hop, when the hop's actually turned on to the proper setting, it's not misaligned or pointing in a different direction or something, you know. And obviously jamming a tube down there is going to potentially do that. So always remove the hop rubber when you clean. So just poke the little strip through the little end on there. It's pretty basic stuff, but we'll go through it anyway. Wind it round there. There's nothing special about this toilet roll, just any old toilet roll. It's not double quilted, not single quilted, it's not aloe vera coated, just as you come off the roll. Silicone oil. The reason we put the oil on there is so that it lubricates as it goes up and down the barrel, so we don't scratch the barrel, so that it moistens any dirt, and so that it makes the dirt stick to this. It's not for better friction on the long term of your barrel. We just need to grab hold of that dirt. If you do it without the dirt, it never really works. So push it in there. Sort of squeeze as you push it in, so otherwise it will just grip hold of this barrel and rip. Once it's in there, as you push and twist at the same time, once it starts going in, push and twist all the way down there. Until it gets to the end. Sometimes it sticks on there, sometimes it comes off, doesn't really matter. It's getting somewhere down there. See how it's got a bit of dirt on there, even though it's a brand new barrel. You know, some of them you wouldn't believe how dirty they are, even though they're brand new. So always go through that. We're just going to do that once. It's not very dirty. They've been a lot worse. So after you've done it, have a look down there, hold it up against the light, so you can't see me doing this. Just make sure there's no debris on there or anything down there. And then that's that done. Now take your, do the hot rubber first. The reason we use the firefly ones is so it gives us better groupings, because of the finger effect that it comes down on the things. For people in England, it'd be like cricket. For people in America, I suppose it'd be like baseball. If you've ever thrown a cricket ball, if you want a fast ball, you hold a single finger down the middle, which is very much like the TM one. But there's if you ever want to put side spin on it, you would obviously put an extra finger on the side, and then you would put side spin on it, because you're putting two fingers down one side. Blah blah blah. Don't want to bore you because it's cricket, and then. That would put spin on the ball, and it's the same thing with the fingers. It's got more emphasis because it's got two longer fingers in the middle of the that come down, and then slightly shallower ones on the outside. So as it lowers down, you've got more emphasis on the middle of it, and therefore even spin. So and it's proven by how fast these things sell out. Yeah, people put them in their guns and they see a noticeable difference. That's why the fireflies work so well and are so popular. So we're going to put this on here. We're not going to put any lubricant on this barrel, because we want it to stick on there. We don't want it to be loose and sliding about. It's already tight anyway, so I forgot to cut the end off there. We'll see how it installs, but there's no harm in just shaving a little bit on there to make the install easy. You'll find when it pushes in here, it's going to push up slightly, you see. So then what you do, now that the line there is seated on the inside of the barrel, we're going to push down here and just make sure that the fingers are coming through properly, which they are. Don't know if you can see on there, I suppose you can't really. The fingers are coming through, so nice and even. Then we're going to insert it into the barrel, into the hop unit, sorry. We don't have to make sure that it's in the off position because it's already that way. We're going to put just a little bit of silicone on the outside of it. The same goes with inside here, just to make it go in there a little bit easier, because we need it tight on the inside but loose on the outside so it slides, so the hot rubber stays in place. Just feel where the dent is, and the dent has to go top side because obviously the hop nub's going to push in there. There we go. So underside, make sure that the line's in, and see how it just slides in there because it's tight on the inside and loose on the outside. Just keep working it in until the hot rubber's all the way in. Backwards and forwards, just holding the rubber there with your nail so it's all the way in. And then we're going to check for alignment later. We just want to make sure that it's in first. Right, now we put the C-clip on. If you have trouble getting this on, like I say, shorten the hot rubber. Right, twist the barrel until you hear a clip, and the clip is a C-clip, and it's going into that top notch on the barrel to make sure that the barrel has no twist whatsoever. Right, when the hot rubber's in place, and now what you want to do is look down it to make sure that it's not bunched, and we'll check in a minute. We'll check for, make sure that everything's in a line. So when we put it on full, that's the final test. We want to be able to put it onto full hop and then notice that it's completely and utterly even. So if you see any sort of bias to one side, if you're still using non-flat nubs, you know, like the round nubs, then you'll have to, well, it shouldn't do on TM1, on this Sopmod one, because it's pretty good. But if you were doing like on a normal M4 unit, then you'd have to check for that bias to one side. So we're going to install the buffer nub. The Firefly rubber increases accuracy because it has the even down the middle, you know, like a fastball or whatever. The reason we use this one is because it's long and flat. So what we talked about here with the normal nub being short and coming down on a single point in the middle of the unit there on the arm, this one is flatter and longer, yet on the underside it's the same shape as the normal nub. So what it does is it comes down over the entire area in there. It pushes down slightly more, just ever so slightly more, for a longer distance. Okay, so what it means is that more of it is, in theory, I know the fingers are just coming down, but also front and back there's a bit more. So when you go in, it just allows you to push down a bit further, and it manages the heavier ammo slightly better, I think. So what it does, it catches it just for ever so slightly longer, and just gives you a bit more range. So that's what I find anyway, just because it's in theory touching it for slightly longer. So we'll just push that in place. There's all kinds of crazy hop mods out there that do a similar thing. There we are. So see how now it covers the entire area. So every bit that was the hole is now covered with that nub. And then obviously it's going to push it down and push slightly more down. So then we're just going to clip this back in there into the. It's just a little line, little hole to push it into. push the arm in there and just let the arm drop down. Okay, now you want to, before you put the thing in, you want to obviously make sure this is pushing down nice and evenly. So in our case, basically you should see 2 fingers coming down nice and even in the middle of the barrel. Which it is. And then either side of it you should see just 2 slightly smaller ones. But the main thing is that the 2 fingers is just nice and even. They're just going to be hitting the top of that BB. Then we're going to put the little bit in. Doesn't matter which side. There we go. It's as simple as that. That's a Firefly buffer rubber. So for the nub, Firefly ordinary rubber, and a TK twist barrel M4 installed for a Sopmod. So then obviously just finish off with in the upper receiver. Notice how we didn't take the hub unit apart, didn't take the spring off. We've checked to make sure that it's nice and straight. There's going to be a slight bedding in period, obviously, you know, as you adjust it. There always is. So especially, you know, different temperatures and stuff. The colder it is, the longer it takes to adjust. The hotter it is, the easier it is going to be to adjust. We slide it in there. Just checking there, just make sure it's all lined up. And then put your pin in. And go have a test fire. So there you go, 1 hop unit done, nice and simple. Hope you weren't too bored, and I hope it's helped a few people out. Cheers.